Hi there. A few years ago, my good friend Victor, who is in the equipment testing and procurement business, particularly for military survival and outdoor activities, sent me a knife that had been manufactured in the UK by Scorpion knives against a requirement from the Royal Jordanian military. And apparently the king, the current king, desired that his soldiers have a knife that reflects the Arab culture, particularly the Bedouin culture. The Bedouin regiments of the Jordanian forces were particularly loyal to the Hashemite kingdom. It's a design. It's called the jambia, which can be seen throughout the Middle East, Yemen, Oman, and of course Jordan. And it's a very much an iconic design, or a typical design of the area. It's almost a badge of masculine culture to carry the knife. So what we're going to do in this video is discuss the features of the knife, and so what follows are some photographs, close-up photographs, which take you through really the main items associated with this particular design. So all in all, it's a very well made knife. Its materials are top class, and it's been manufactured to a very high standard to do the job as a military weapon. Whether the design itself really is something that you would like as a Westerner is another question. Sir Richard Burton, the world authority on the sword, who literally wrote the book of the sword, and was also a tremendous expert on Middle Eastern culture, called it a silly weapon, and mainly because of the curved design. Now, let's be frank. As he says, almost any weapon can kill, any knife can kill. You know, you can, from a sharpened pencil to a scimitar or a scythe, anything like that, and anything in between. But how well it does the job's another thing. I actually found this design to be rather unwieldy, no matter how well made it is. And I didn't really have that much of a use to it. However, Marcus did express an interest in it, and I gave it to him. We were always exchanging knives, and I still treasure quite a few that he gave me. So I passed it on to Marcus, and then sometime later, Victor sent me another box of goodies, and there was a newer model, what I term the slimline model, and that's what we're going to talk about next. And this is the slimline, what I call the slimline model, which, as you can see, I still own. And a couple of the features I like about it, the blade is less radical than the original model. It still features the curve, but it's not as unwieldy, shall we say, as I found the original. And in some ways, it's kind of reminiscent of the Cobra, the Fairbairn designed Cobra knife, and shares some of the techniques of that in a way. I particularly like the hilt. It's made of some sort of plastic material, for want of a better term. It's man-made. It's got grooves on both sides, and also the molded royal seal on both sides also adds to the texturing of it. It's got this cat's paw texture to it, and the shape on both sides locks the hand. So on a powerful thrust, your hand isn't going to run onto the blade, and on a withdrawal, or if you've stabbed deep into the chest cavity and suddenly you've got 15 stone dead weight on the end of your knife, it's not going to be torn from your hand so easily. So I do like that as a design feature. Just a little point on the original traditional jambias. There's a lot of them that the hilt is made of rhino horn, and obviously this has led to the the almost virtual extinction of the rhino in Africa, which is a tragedy for these purely cultural artifacts. And I'm glad to see that more modern and actually more practical materials are being used in this particular knife. So let's go on and have a look at the sheath in detail. So the sheath, as you saw in the preceding picture, it's very, very well made, Cordura. It has multiple attachment points, belt attachment there. A belt can go through, actually a heavy duty military belt can go through there, or a smaller belt can go through there, or it can be attached to military equipment, molly attachments there. And then you've got similarly here for attachment to a pack or whatever, or to a vest. You also have a tie down loop for the leg, stop it bouncing on the belt. On the front you have an accessory pouch which can have whatever you need. At the moment I've got this sharpening stone, which was a free gift with my Swiss Army knife, my Swiss Champ. It's always useful to have that. You can have survival items, a little fire starting kit in a film can, that kind of thing. Whatever, you know, the environment requires. The actual sheath is very, very well made, and it's lined in a way to prevent the point from damaging the sheath material. The knife is secured firstly by this snap here, and then secondly by this very wide elastic loop. Now the only problem with this is we have this skull crusher pommel, this very sharp pommel here. It's very, very sharp, and over time, as you're taking it over the elastic, it's going to eventually cut through it, I think. I don't like skull crusher pommels. If you're going to have one, it shouldn't be pointed like this. And in a previous video, we talked about the one that came on the V42 knife, and there's a lot of examples where the guys had filed it, and so it was still protruded, but it wasn't sharp because it can dig into you. Things like parachuting. So that's it. That's the sheath. Very, very well designed sheath for its use, for the military use of the knife. And it does complement and sort of extend the range of uses of the knife itself. So as regards the use or the technique for the jambia, there are a couple of things we can talk about. Firstly, the grip. Most of the literature shows the knife being held in a reverse grip, and if you think of the way it's carried, and it's just accessed from the front, it would come up into a reverse grip very, very easily, and then you've got this downward kind of pecking action, targeting the subclavian, the rest of the cephalic arteries and so on. Lots of areas there deep into the chest. It's a very powerful blow, we know. And the design of the hilt of this weapon, either in the traditional design or this modern version of it, locks the weapon very, very tightly into the hand. So this kind of strike is very, very easy. So that's the thrust. And in our training, we do a clock drill. So for a reverse grip thrust, you just go right round a clock, and you can thrust on any of those angles. So then we come to the slash from the reverse grip, and remember this here, this is the main edge. There is a sharpened false edge here as well, so you have the advantage of that. So one of the techniques is to do a slash across the throat and then come back. So it's slashing across the throat and then hooking, ripping everything away on the return stroke. Slash out, hook back. I'll do it from a slight angle, slash out and hook back. So that's quite possible. Then we come to the knife in the forward grip. I'll stand for this. So you can have the point upwards. It's possible to hold it with the point down. Obviously, you know there's a lot of variation. But if you have it point up, you've got this disemboweling action. So I'll do it on an angle, this disemboweling action. So you're targeting the femorals, the bladder area and the belly in an upward ripping action. So that's very possible. And then you also have, and this is non-traditional for Middle East fighting, but it comes from the Bowie school, and it is the back cut. So you just flip the knife over and cut like that. And anything exposed, an exposed limb, exposed thigh, if he stumbles and you've got the head target or the neck and so on. It's a very, very fast reversal action. And then obviously you can just do jabbing, tip rips, that kind of thing. So it does lend itself quite well to a variety of very, very applicable knife fighting techniques. So that's kind of a look of the techniques of the knife. And one important point is, if you are training with the knife, to have a safe trainer which is dedicated to the particular type of the knife, and that there is one available or was manufactured. It's made out of very dense rubber, and it's faithful to the actual design. So that's an important point to consider as well. So I much prefer this to the original knife. I do find this usable. It balances very well in the hand. Now, as to availability, unfortunately, Scorpion Knives are no longer offering it, but you can track them down on the various auction sites, and I will put a link to one that I found fairly recently there. So all in all, it's a knife that does stir quite a bit of interest. I did do a review of it years ago on the forum, and it did get quite a bit of feedback. People were interested in this particular knife. And if you have any questions, just email them into me, and I'll try my best to take anything further and dig out any more information that you might need. And likewise, if you have any information about the issue of the knife and how it's been received, I'd be glad to hear it. So until the next one, take care.